It's Wednesday, January 20. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Carol Francis. 16% of the population will be vaccinated in phase 1 of a 4-phase distribution strategy under the National COVID-19 Vaccine Deployment and Vaccination Interim Plan. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says phase 1 will cost about $3 billion. The second phase will see an additional 16% of the population being vaccinated. He shared the details of the plan in Parliament on Tuesday.
The Health and Wellness Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says the National COVID-19 Vaccine Deployment Plan is aligned with the National COVID-19 Response and Recovery Program. It includes planning and coordinating vaccine introduction, legal and regulatory framework.
Phased approach of COVID-19 vaccination introduction in Jamaica, targeted populations and vaccination delivery strategies, human resource management and training, supply chain management, risk assessment and mitigation strategies, vaccine program communication, and vaccine safety monitoring, and COVID-19 vaccine program monitoring and evaluation. So a number of elements of the strategy.
He says a multi-sectoral approach for implementation of the 4-phased plan has been established.
Phase 1, vulnerable and priority groups. Phase 2, other priority groups and the introduction of vaccine to the general public. And phase 3 and 4, more of the general population will have access to the vaccine.
In phase 1, only 16% of the population is targeted, with the supply coming from the World Health Organization's COVAX facility.
It is also our intention to continuously seek out supplies of vaccines to ensure as many Jamaicans as possible at any given time can be protected. We will seek additional doses of the vaccine based on locally relevant risk factors, vulnerabilities, and the COVID-19 threat. The initial projection for this second phase is a further 16% of the population.
He also spoke of plans for efficient distribution to targeted population.
Once in Jamaica, vaccines due to their fragility or temperature sensitivity are given special status by both the Ministry of Health and Wellness personnel and the customs officers at the airport. This allows for timely clearance, transport to central stores where they are checked by the program officer and National Health Fund warehouse staff to ascertain their condition. Madam Speaker, current cold storage capacity at the central and peripheral or parish levels is limited. Given the anticipated overall increase in the number of vaccines, approximately 1 million dosage, additional storage capacity will be required. Each parish will need at least one additional vaccine refrigeration facility to accommodate the COVID-19 vaccine. At the central stores, an additional 10 to 20 freezers.
Dr. Tufton says phase 1 will cost $3 billion Jamaican dollars.
This covers, among other things, the purchase of the vaccines, supply chain and cold storage items, PPEs, transportation, staff training, staff costs, public education, and sensitization cost.
The Health Ministry says the second phase will be continuous based on the need for re-vaccination and the level of immunity achieved by the population.
This phase may see the vaccine becoming a part of routine immunization schedules, and procurements will be absorbed into the regular budget for immunization. This will have to be expanded based on demand and availability of funds. So there is still some amount of flexibility which has to be exercised based on what we learn as we go along.
He says preparation has already begun for the introduction of the COVID-19 vaccines for timely and smooth implementation once they become available. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom Gale.
Time now for the latest COVID-19 update from the Health and Wellness Ministry.
Over the past 24 hours, Jamaica has recorded 2 more COVID-19 related deaths, pushing that tally to 331. Meanwhile, there were 68 new cases recorded, pushing that total to 14,487. of which 2,210 cases are active. Of the 68 new cases, the parish breakdown is as follows. Kingston and St. Andrew, 15. St. Catherine, 15. Clarendon, 9. Manchester, 8. St. Anne and St. James, 6 each. St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland, 3 each. St. Mary, 2, and Hanover, 1. The country also recorded 34 recoveries, bringing that total of recoveries to 11,777. Some 111 persons are in hospital, with 14 being moderately ill and 9 critically ill. Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
The future is looking bright for the parish of St. Thomas. Plans are being drafted for a new town centre, a state-of-the-art fire station, and a new highway from Harbourview through to Cedar Valley in St. Thomas. Our news team toured sections of the highway on Tuesday and spoke with Member of Parliament for St. Thomas Western, James Robertson.
The roadway is being constructed as part of the $2.8 billion South Coast Highway Improvement Project. China Harbour Engineering Company Limited is on the job with a 3-year contract. Member of Parliament for St. Thomas Western, James Robertson, toured sections of the ongoing construction site, seeking answers to concerns tabled by stakeholders.
We have areas where bridges have been removed and the citizens have suffered in the October-November heavy rainfall. We went into the Christmas period. We have now come back out. We've been briefed by the contractors, briefed by the relevant agencies that are in charge of the project. I can only say that as Member of Parliament, what I have seen is the most impressive management of projects in Jamaica.
Mr. Robertson says the 4-lane highway from Harbourview to St. Thomas will open the door to job opportunities and investments in the parish.
Where we are now is the most modern fire station being built. We've been crying out for this for almost 20 years. We have other concerns, other areas of weak infrastructure, but the last report I've gotten now as Member of Parliament is that the new town, the Morant Bay, the new town, that new development, is on schedule. We have broken ground, the investment, the development, the jobs, the opportunities are coming. I can only say as a Member of Parliament at a time like this, the pressure we have borne to be here was worth it.
The MP gave an update on the Morant Bay Town Centre. That project should see the development of an integrated industrial and commercial complex encompassing 365,000 square feet of space to house key public and private sector services.
Surveys are being done, digital prints are being done. The details that make a project so successful are on the way.
Mr. Robertson, who was speaking at the site of a newly constructed fire station in St. Thomas, shared optimism about the developments in the parish.
I am convinced that we are going to have an East that is really what Paul Bogle fought for.
For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom Gale.
Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett has extended congratulations to hotelier Adam Stewart on his appointment as Executive Chairman of Sandals Resorts International SRI, following the recent passing of his father, business mogul Gordon Butch Stewart. Mr. Stewart is the second person to serve as the company's chairman. He previously served as its chief executive officer and deputy chairman. Sandals Resorts International is the parent company of Sandals Resorts, Beaches Resorts, and Grand Pineapple Beach Resorts. Beekeeping is an age-old business reportedly dating back to the 1700s in Jamaica. Jamaican honey and beeswax is also documented as winning awards at the Paris exhibition of 1878 and the Amsterdam exhibition of 1883. Today, there is growing demand for organic honey due to its antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial properties. Jamaica's honey is seen as one of the best in the world, and the beekeeping industry poised to become a major foreign exchange earner if international standards, including purity and supply, can be met. We have more in this report from Marlon Samuels.
Traditionally, many people consumed honey in its unprocessed state. The growing popularity of honey is propelling the demand from various industries due to the medicinal and nutritional benefits associated with honey and its byproduct. Honey is also being increasingly used in the cosmetic industry. Still others are using honey as an alternative to artificial sweeteners. Honey is now a popular ingredient in baked products, jams, and breakfast cereals. Jamaica currently produces honey and honey-based products such as beeswax and royal jelly. In 2015, Jamaica's beekeeping industry was projected to earn an estimated $1 billion in earnings from honey production. The increasing demand for honey and its byproducts is an area of untapped potential for young people and landless farmers looking to invest in a profitable venture. It's low maintenance and only a small area is needed. The technology relatively simple and the earning potential great. The raw materials needed for the production of honey is provided free of cost from nature. Bees gather nectar and pollen from a variety of flowers. Nectar is the sweet liquid that attracts bees to the flower. The bees suck up the nectar and collect it in a little sac called a crap. They also collect pollen on their legs. They move from flower to flower, leaving pollen collected on the next flower they visit. Worker bees construct comb using beeswax secreted from the glands on the underside of their stomachs. Despite these advantages, Jamaica is not at its full potential in honey production. The apiculture unit of the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries. The unit is reportedly making strategic moves to grow the industry in Jamaica. The unit is giving guidance about the selection of and maintaining healthy honeybee colonies. Information about honeybee biosecurity is also being provided. For the news on PBCJ, I am Marlon Samuels.
Time now for breaking business and finance news, including reports on oil prices and stocks from business reporter Gabriel Thompson.
In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 3,138 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 82 stocks, of which 21 advanced, 47 declined, and 14 traded firm. The Junior Market Index declined by 11 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for Access Financial Services Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica, 1834 Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica. Trading firm were AMG Packaging and Paper Company, Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited, and Consolidated Bakers Jamaica. Tropical Battery Company Limited was the volume leader with 3.8 million units, followed by Lumber Depot Limited with over 3 million units, and Derrimon Trading Company Limited with 1.8 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Tuesday, January 19, ended trading at $145.48. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $115.06. The pound sterling traded for $197.47, and the euro ended trading at $178.89. Oil rose above $56 a barrel on Wednesday, supported by expectations the new U.S. administration will deliver massive stimulus spending that would lift demand, as well as by OPEC curbs and forecasts of a drop in U.S. crude inventories. Brent crude futures rose 42 cents to $56.32 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed 51 cents to $53.49 a barrel. And that does it for this edition of the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Gabriel Thompson.
This week on Living Healthy, dental expert Dr. Los Myers talks about the development of children's teeth.
HD. Welcome to another episode of HDs Jazz. Today I am on a beautiful coffee farm in the beautiful Blue Mountains, and we're going to be focusing on coming in at the right time. Come, I want to show you something. Can you see all of these berries? They're all on the same limb, but they are developing at different times. This is almost ripe, where this has a long way to go. Yet still, they're all on the same limb. The way these berries develop on this branch remind me very closely of how our teeth come into our mouths. When we're babies, we see no teeth. At a certain point in time, usually around 6 months, teeth begin to come into the mouth. But there are a lot of teeth already there in the bone that are going through various stages of development. Did you know that we can actually estimate someone's age by looking at the teeth? Because there's a certain pattern. The first set of teeth that are lost and come into your mouth are in the front, the top and the bottom. But at the same time, we get our first set of permanent molars behind the baby teeth. Age 12, we get another set, and between 17 and 24, we get what we call wisdom teeth. Now, sometimes things get a little mixed up. Baby teeth are usually pushed out by permanent teeth when they're ready to come into the mouth. But sometimes they get a little misguided and they come in front of or behind the baby teeth. So you may often see what we refer to as a double row. The baby teeth are there, and then the permanent teeth are behind or in front. Usually that's not a good thing, because the baby teeth prepare the space for the permanent teeth. And if it doesn't come in sequentially, sometimes you can have an issue with spacing, and a child who constantly has a double row situation may end up needing braces to straighten out the teeth. A lot can be happening and you're not even aware of it. Just as how these berries are at various stages of development on the same limb, so too in our jaw bones, the teeth are at various stages of development. Nature is fantastic. A lot of things can be going on at the same time and you're not even aware. When your baby is born, there's several teeth already developing, and they continue to develop even before you see them in the mouth. So it's important to take care of that mouth. Listen, see you next time on Facebook, YouTube, or our LFD website. See you next time on HD's Jazz.
In regional news, Guyana has indicated that it intends to continue working with the COVAX facility to access the coronavirus vaccine. This as the country examines other avenues to get additional vaccines. We have more from News Source Guyana.
According to Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony, the country's main focus right now will continue to be to work with the COVAX initiative.
So there are several options that are available, and we're still working with COVAX to ensure that we can have access to vaccine.
COVAX is an initiative that falls under the United Nations, which seeks to procure and distribute the COVID-19 vaccines to developing and lesser developed countries. COVAX has already made moves to procure up to 1 billion doses, but countries will only be given enough vaccines to cover 20% of their population. That system has forced many countries to begin looking at alternative sources for the vaccines and enter into bilateral arrangements. For Guyana, the vaccines are likely to be available after April, with healthcare workers in the front line and the elderly likely to be given first preference.
Countries, we know of countries that have been doing bilateral deals outside of COVAX, and that is because for this year, COVAX would only be able to give the countries who are participating in that facility 20% of the vaccine that they require for their population, or vaccines to cover 20% of their population. So that is not going to be enough for a country to achieve herd immunity, and therefore a number of countries are looking at other options of how to get additional vaccines so that they can have more people immunized. For us, we continue to work with COVAX while we explore with other partners to see whether or not we can access vaccines so that we can have more in country. But our main focus is really COVAX.
The coronavirus cases in Guyana continue to spread. Based on the latest figures coming out of the Ministry of Health, 19 new cases have been recorded over the past 24 hours. There are now 6 persons in the COVID-19 intensive care unit. Since the first case was recorded back in March last year, almost 7,000 cases have been recorded, with more than 6,000 persons making full recoveries in Guyana. Since the start of this year, more than 500 new cases have already been recorded in the past 2 weeks.
In the Bahamas, a disturbing video has prompted officials to launch an investigation into the alleged abuse of multiple children at a local children's home. The matter was addressed by the Social Services Minister outside Cabinet on Tuesday morning. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Social Services Minister spoke to the issue the morning after an undated video went viral on social media showing children being beaten. He said he was alerted to the video on Monday night and immediately ordered an investigation.
That investigation commences this morning. I want to make it clear that in no way, form, or fashion do we support any form of abuse against children, adults, girls, boys, women, no form of violence or abuse.
The incident is purported to have happened at the Bahamas Children's Emergency Hostel on McKinney Drive. In the video, multiple children were beaten with what appears to be a stick. The children were lined up one by one to receive their punishment. It is unclear why the children were beaten. Other children and adults watched as the scene unfolded.
There is a distinct difference between discipline and abuse, and we draw the line there.
Although the video had no sound, several children appeared to cry out as they were struck. Some dropped to the ground. A few minutes into the video, a few more adults joined in. Several women were seen holding children down as they were beaten. A woman in a wheelchair also beat a child as another attempted to hold that child still. Only the home's administrator is authorized to beat the children, according to the hostel's policy. Campbell, who says the matter was brought to his attention, sought to assure the public that the investigation will be impartial.
I want to assure you that we will leave no stone unturned, and we will let the chips fall where they may.
He says the government is working to draft a management agreement for all children's homes, including the ones that are not operated by the state.
This matter would be properly investigated. It will be impartially investigated. I've spoken to the chairman of the board at the Children's Emergency Hostel, and we are on the same page.
Campbell said the results of the investigation will be made public. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
St. Lucia's Deputy Police Commissioner says school children are not exempt from arrest as the Royal St. Lucia Police Force seeks to enforce the COVID-19 prevention protocols. Certain sections of the public have taken exception, including the National Students' Council.
During last Thursday, January 14th's update to the nation from the COVID Command Center, Deputy Commissioner Milton Desir touted numerous successes by both the COVID wardens and regular police officers in enforcing the COVID-19 prevention protocols. Desir cited offenses by both minibus operators and other members of the public, resulting in arrests and fines. But 4 days into the commencement of the second term of the 2020-2021 academic year with physical classroom instruction, the Deputy Top Cop issued a notice to parents. This comes, he says, as over 80 students were reported to have been discovered not wearing face masks in public.
Appealing to parents of those students, please give those students a time to be home. These are your children, you need to give them a time. If you don't give them a time, they would wander around town and come anytime. If you do not see them come at the particular time, you need to make a call at the station to see if they are not locked up. But you need to give them time to be at home.
The comments made during the live broadcast garnered almost immediate backlash from viewers, some noting that to date there have been no punitive measures taken against visitors to the island who have been spotted not wearing masks in public. The clapback on behalf of St. Lucia's student population, however, came from the National Students' Council through a statement last Friday, January 15th.
The SLNSC, the St. Lucia National Students' Council, is hoping that the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is not profiling our students. As we are aware, many of our students engage in extracurriculars, lessons, activities that are known to conclude after sunset. So we are asking that the Royal St. Lucia Police Force continue serving out their duties, but not profile our students.
The National Students' Council's PRO suggested verbal engagement as opposed to punitive measures.
Ask the relevant questions to understand the situation as to why our students are on the streets at that time. And if actions are required, we ask that proper procedures be followed in the detainment of those students so that they can be safely brought to their homes. Likewise, the St. Lucia National Council is advising our students to follow all the protocols given by the CMO and reminded to them by our wardens, our police officers, members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, as they roam not only the school compounds but also the streets as they make their way homes.
Since school reopened last Monday, numerous reports have surfaced of positive COVID-19 cases at secondary schools on island. Miguel Favre, NBC Prime.
And in sports, Bangladesh beat West Indies by 6 wickets in the first one-day international in Mirpur. The Windies were bowled out for 122 from 32.2 overs. Shakib Al Hassan took 4 for 8 on his return to international cricket. West Indies spinner Akil Hussain on debut took 3 for 26, including the wicket of Shakib, who scored 19 of 43 balls to cap off a man-of-the-match performance. The teams will meet again in the second of the 3-match one-day series in Mirpur on Friday. They will also play a 2-match test series next in March. And that's our package. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place, for more news and sports right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.